Let me tell you something. When I look out in your eyes out there, when I look out in your faces, you know what I see? I see a little bit of Elvis in each and every one of you. Let me tell you, well, Elvis is everywhere. Elvis is everything. Elvis is everybody. Elvis is still the king. Man, oh man, what I want you to see is that the big E's inside of you and me. Welcome back, my fellow agents. We are going to be talking about Elvis Presley in one of his early movies. It is King Creole from 1958, and it's a pretty darn good movie. I did want to just start out because Elvis is everywhere, man, and he is in everything. So, before we get too much further into it and I start singing again, or speaking, because that's what it is after that intro, please like, share, subscribe, leave a comment. What do you think about Elvis? Did you like his music? Did you like his acting? Did you like his movies? I'll tell you what. Well, I'll tell you when we get there. But I enjoyed this movie more than I thought I would, and we'll talk about it. So leave me a comment, like, share, subscribe, and if you could, listen all the way. There will not be a poll. I'm going to be moving away from Spotify as a platform on the whole because it's just annoying to me now. But having said all that, are you ready to rock and roll in Louisiana? We begin here in the French Quarter of Louisiana, of New Orleans, Louisiana. And it's right with musical number. We got people singing in the streets. This isn't a musical in the sense that people just break out in dances in the middle of nothing. It's mostly the music fits into the narrative. And they're selling gumbo, and I don't know what she was selling, but they're all singing. And Elvis is singing right along with them. And then we get the credits there. We're only going to do a couple. Obviously, King Creole. Now, I've never seen this movie before, so this was a revelation to me. Not a revelation, but it was good. It's nice to I enjoy seeing movies I haven't seen ever. Screenplay based on the novel A Stone for Danny Fisher. Now, Elvis, this according to lore and probably books and things, this was Elvis' favorite role. He was drafted a month before the shooting was set to begin, and he got a 60-day deference so he could film the movie because they said it's going to cost us a lot of money, and I think that's reasonable. Elvis went in, did his time, served for his country, and came out, came back. So, like I said, 1958. This was released July 2nd, 1958 in the States here. It runs 116 minutes. Now, about 30 of that taken up with songs and such, but overall, it's a good movie. I wouldn't have trimmed maybe a tiny bit out, but overall, it's not. Cinematography is amazing. That's done by Russell Harlan, and there's our director, Michael Curtis. I think he's done some other movies that we've heard in this part of the world that I have not reviewed, but in the 40s, say Casablanca, The Seahawk, Life with Father. What else has he done? I mean, geez, you can't take it with you. Lose it. Oh, let's see, Angels with Dirty Faces. So just, Casablanca. I mean, what more do you see you need there? So he was very particular, selected Hollywood filmography. I'm going to look here, see if I've seen any more. I have seen, The Adventures of Robin Hood, 1938. So I've seen that one, Captain Blood, lots of them. Yankee Doodle Dandy with James Cagney. He's a great director. There's just no question about that. I thought that's who it was. So he did a really good job here and pulled performances out of all the actors. There's Elvis singing away in the French Quarter, which looks like it had just rained, and a lot of it was filmed down there, though they filmed it elsewhere as also production. let's see, filming mostly at Paramount Studios and on location in the French Quarter. So Presley was mobbed, so that took extra time. There's his sister. Now we know Presley is Elvis is playing Danny Fisher. His sister is where'd she go? Uh, Mimi Fisher. It's Jan Shepard as Mimi Fisher. And then they're talking about their dad. Danny works down at the Maxie Fields Club. Maxie's the local gangster who has got his fingers into everything for the most part. So he's the heavy of the piece. And as we'll find, well, Maxie is played by Walter Matthau, a very young Walter Matthau. I'm thinking Elvis was about 22 when this was shot. He he was supposed to graduate the year. His Danny Fisher was supposed to graduate the year before, and didn't, failed, and he was supposed to graduate this year, and they flunked him out, as we'll see. So he's had it with that. He wants to be somebody, no matter what it is. So he's working in old Maxie Fisher's club. This is Carolyn Jones, Morticia Adams herself, and Marcia Queen of Hearts at the Batman show, is Maxie's mistress, Ronnie. And this guy is, he uses her to get deals and such done, and she's, a victim of drink. And Danny stands up for her. Now, I keep thinking that Danny Zuko from Grease was patterned just a tiny bit on old Danny Fisher. I have no proof of that, but Elvis, obviously, John Travolta patterned his look after Elvis. So he saves her. He gets her a cab to take her home, drop him off at high school. He gets into a fight with these guys who are hassling him about being with a woman of ill repute. He punches one. This is old Miss. I don't even know who that. This is one of the teachers there. She doesn't even get a credit, but she flunks Danny again. Says he can't graduate because he's a hoodlum. Principal says, and he tells him off and says, "I'm working because I have to keep us in a house." And he's like, "Well, I can't go against her. Why can't he? Who can at this point in time, really?" Danny runs into Shark there. And that's Sal and Dummy, and somebody else who I didn't get the name of. Shark is played by the late Vic Morrow. He looks like he's about 12, but they all look very young. And we're going to hold up a five and dime or a drugstore, local drugstore, and we need your help. We hear you can sing. Surprising. There's Danny's dad. That's Dean Jagger, who we've seen in, he was in 12 O'Clock High. He's been in lots of things. Let's see if we can find a complete filmography. King Creole. I thought he'd been in some things I've seen, but I'm not seeing anything right off here. But he was in a lot of, always in Alligator, of all things, in 1980. I'm sure he probably did some other television and things. Revolt of the Zombies, of all things. Jeez. Anyway, yes, Dean Jagger, that's his dad, is great. I mean, the whole cast is really good. This is a well-received movie, and I was, again, pleasantly surprised. Elvis did a really good job acting. I've heard that he was not a good actor in his first couple of roles, but here, obviously, the other things, I've seen his biographies. I've not seen any Elvis movies in probably a decade, maybe 15 years, maybe 2 decades. I don't know. Most of them have been the color ones. I was looking for Jailhouse Rock, but this is what I found. I'm glad I found it. So his dad's like, he's like, I'm not going to go to school and be a nobody, and I'm going to be somebody. And so off they go. They plan the heist. And this is the drugstore, which is huge. It's got, a soda fountain, and it's got ice cream and food, and people go and just congregate. And he just shows up and starts singing a song. He sings it out loud. He sings it strong. And Shark and his boys just pilfer. Not a lot, but enough that they can get away with it and leave. Now, that is Nellie, played by Dolores Hart, who falls for Danny. Wild is the Wind, and she made her debut in Loving You. She later, and is still alive, is Sister Dolores in a Catholic convent. Took her vows in 1970. She was Sister Judith, but changed her name back to Sister Dolores to please her mother. So John Paul 23, Pope John 23, the 23rd. That's she's still alive, so apparently it suited her. And there's some old lady who says it's hot in here and looks at Elvis, which kind of like some old ladies I know looking at what's his name, Harry Styles these days. Not that Laura's going to hear that, but if she does listen this far, well, that's for you, Laura. But she likes Danny, and Danny likes her, and she doesn't want to be trapped in a drugstore working the rest of her life. I mean, they just to make a dime and barely get by. Oh, Mr. Fisher there gets a job at a local drugstore, and this guy tells him to hire him. This douchebag just is his boss and just treats him like a jerk. I mean, I don't know how he didn't punch him out. That's his buddy, Eddie, Mickey, I don't know, somebody. And he says, I'm not going to be here much longer. There he runs into there's Maxie, young Walter Matthau, and of course Ronnie. And she pretends he doesn't know her. No, she doesn't know him, but Maxie's all like, why is she looking at you like that? She says, I heard him sing. So he goes up and belts out a number, and holy crap. Now, Elvis Star has been singing a long time, and this guy's only supposed to not have any stage presence. Elvis has a lot of stage presence. When you see him do this, his charisma radiates off the screen. And I know this is, like, duh, he's Elvis. But if you saw him in his later years, especially before he passed away, this is amazing to watch. Again, a revelation, an unveiling. And she can't hardly contain herself that, I'm right and I'm proving Maxie wrong. He's a jerk because he's an abuser. I mean, he beats her. She says as much, and you sells her body to other men to achieve his needs. And this gentleman here is, let me see. He is the owner of the King Creole. That's Charlie LeGrand, Paul Stewart, and he's like the only straight guy that's straight shooter who's got a club. Let's see if we find out what else he's been in here. He's in Citizen Kane as his film debut. So that's something. It's just a great movie. I mean, I'm looking to see. Of course, he's been in Perry Mason, Dr. Kildare, more Perry Mason, Moby Dick and the Mighty Mitor as the voice of Mitor. Okay, well, his ace is in my book now. If I'd have known that, I'd have had a picture of Mitor in here. That's awesome. And he was in Remington Steele. How about that? Lou Grant, S.O.B. Revenge of the Pink Panther. We'll have to get into those at some point. He directed and produced as well a television, Peter Gunn, lots of things. So he had a good career. Good on you, Paul Stewart. All that pales compared to being in Mighty Mitor to me. So they're splitting up the goods, and Dummy there, who's mute, only gets $5. Danny says, doesn't beat up Shark, but tells him gives him more money, and so he's kind of created a debt because Dummy's like, this guy treated me nicely as opposed to Shark. Goes and meets young Nellie, and they go have a date, but he thinks he's clever, and he rents a room like they're gonna do something. Brown chick, brown cow, and she asks him what's going on, and he actually admits to it and takes her home, and she kisses him and says, I like you, I want to see you again. So good for her. Well, even though he's got Ronnie on the other side who picks him up, and then we get another shot of the French Quarter without people on it, which is amazing to think about nowadays. Danny goes down to the drugstore to do something and sees old douchebag berating. Let's see if he's got a name here. No, he doesn't. I thought he did. Mr. Premiont, the drugstore manager, Mr. Fisher's overbearing boss. That's Gavin Gordon. And Danny pulls a nice one and says, I got the wrong prescription last week. And he's like, well, that guy's gone. He's like, well, this man helped me out and got me the right stuff. You're lucky to have him. So good. Your son did right by you there, Pop. He goes and meets with Charlie and says, my dad's not going to like it, but let's take a handshake deal. And he says, well, invite me over. I'll talk to your dad. So he does, and Pop is all, nope, can't do it. He's got to have a career. He's got to be a career man. like in a drugstore or something. I mean, yeah, I mean, pharmacists can make good money, I would assume at that point in time. And he doesn't have it, but then Charlie's like, "Whoa, hey there, uh, um, Mimi, would you like to go out?" And they're like, "Okay," and so they start dating. So 49 is the dancer that we call them now, exotic dancer, aka a stripper. She is played by the Liliane Montevecchi, who was a French actress, dancer, and singer. She was in Nine, Grand Hotel, and just in lots of things that I haven't seen. Tab Hunter Show, The Cat as Countess de Laurent. Yeah, I'm telling you stuff I haven't seen. Lots of Lydio, but um, just but she's very funny. I mean, there are some really funny lines in here. Not quite. I mean, they were double entendres, but not really risque ones. But there she is, thinking about bananas, and he's ready to go on and scared, and he's like, "You'll knock him dead." And that's his manager there, who's a kind of a dink, who makes fun of rock and roll being from a different planet. Because by 1958, I mean, come on. So he introduces them. There's his band in the background, and they're a swinging combo. He's a guitarist, and he gets out there and belts one out, and everybody loves him. House is only half full. Charlie says, "Treat it like it's a full house. Good. You should always treat anywhere you perform. You just treat it like you're the star. That'll help." But Mimi's there watching it, and he's like, "Come on, I gotta take you somewhere." Nellie meets him afterward, and he's got points out where they used to live before his mom died. That's why his dad fell into depression, and Danny has to work. I meant to say that earlier. Obviously, he's depressed, and that wouldn't be known. They just think he's not pulling his weight, right? Which is sad, but you know, and he's in a good mood because he's in love, probably with two women, and he's hassling his sister. Once again, he goes down to the drugstore, and old Mr. Premont's being a total asshat, and he's like, "Nope." But then Shark comes up and says, "Hey, Maxie wants to see you because he's a big hit." He makes Ronnie show off her gams, and he's like, I can't. I'm going to stay with that because I appreciate it. I appreciate what he's done for me. He's loyal to Charlie. And the band's a little bigger now, and the crowd's a little bigger, and everyone's having a good time. The money's coming in. Uh-huh. So he's playing the banjo, they're a guitarist, but slap fiddle, or slap bass, pardon me, saxophone. And they look like they're having a ball with Elvis there, and he's so good. I don't know how many times they had to perform this or take it. Curtis was a stickler for getting everything just so, and she's all Nina's all upset, but because she's Nina, what's her name? 49, Nina 49. So he says, "Tell Nellie I've got to go," and because he's looking out for his dad, they know something's going on. Sharky and his gang. He's dressed up in his boss's outfit to take money to the bank. Shark clocks him and hits him and takes the money, steals it. They find out, and Nellie says, "Your dad's in the hospital. Let's go." And they go, and so he can't fix he needs a brain operation, and it's going to cost $1,000, and they don't have insurance. So this guy gets hired by Maxie because now Danny's in his debt, and he's like, "Oh, I fix him," and he thinks he's saying real nice things about Maxie. Whether he believes him or not is up to the viewer. Everyone's crying, and again, everyone does a really good job here. And I think Elvis really studied his craft. And he's like, "Oh, pay it back." Nellie's, So there he is, big lights. They've got neon, and everyone's there. He gets up there, sings one final song. Now he's supposed to be playing the lead here, and he's looking back there watching. Well, I don't know if that was intentional or not, but he's watching the other guy who's playing the lead, but look at them; they're having a great time. Sharky's like, "Go on, gotta talk to him," and now he's alone with Ronnie. Sharky's supposed to be passed out in the other room. I keep calling him Sharky. Maxie she's all upset because she's drunk, and in vino, there's a truth vitras. There's truth in wine or drink. And so Maxie shows up. It says, sign on the dotted line, and I'll forgive your father's debt. And so he quits. He tells Charlie, we didn't have a handshake. We don't have any paperwork. I got to go work for this other guy. Doesn't tell him why, but they're not stupid. Then he goes and breaks up with Nellie, or tries to. Obviously, this is shot in front of a screen. And it's a good scene. I mean, there's Dummy giving him a note, and that's from Ronnie. Your father is there with Maxie. He's trying to, I don't even know what he was trying to do, but he's like, no. I mean, there's Walter Matthau. It took a while for me to realize that was Walter. So he's telling Danny that Danny's going to work for him, or he's going to come work for Maxie. So he thinks Danny's sold out completely and not just singing. So they have a falling out. Danny goes over because he's a hothead, and a fight breaks out. Well, actually, he pushes Danny down, and boom, bang. So he beats up Walter Matthau, or his stunt double anyway. And I think Elvis did a lot of this work on his own, but he runs out. Maxie tells Shark to go, take care of him. Got his switchblade in there. You can just hear the from West Side Story. But I'm not going to do that to you. There's two of them, so he knocks one guy out. They tussle. And then somehow he doesn't stab old Shark, but Shark ends up stabbing himself. He just leaves him there. But he's been cut in a couple of places. Fortunately, Ronnie drives by. How convenient. And she drives off into the night. And, this is her place. And she says Maxie doesn't know about it. And she's like, just for one day, pretend I'm not what they think of a woman is of ill repute. But guess who shows up with a gun? And Dummy. Dummy's the driver. He feels guilty, and he's trying to warn Danny, but he can't talk. But they run. He shoots Ronnie. So get the triangle out of the way. And I managed to catch a shot here where the gun hits the post and the squib goes off. Man, Elvis looks like he's ready for action. However, Dummy jumps him. Moxie and they end up in the drink. Gun goes off. Moxie's dead. And I think they just left him there too, because Moxie had to die, and it turns out he was a missing person that nobody missed at all. So he says goodbye to Ronnie, who's bleeding. She expires of an. And that's it for Ronnie. We don't know if they had a funeral for her or just left her there because, what do you do? I mean, in 58, the law was a little wilder back then. So he returns to the King Creole, and he's indefinite stay, and everyone's happy. And Nellie says, let's get back together. He's like, no, not right now. But he does sing. His last song is about you're not my first love, but you are my last. And he sings it. He's, got his sad, sincere face on. His sister's crying, and his dad's there. So everyone's happy. He realizes his son's super talented and going to make lots of money. So they're set for life, really, unless he does something dumb like get addicted to prescription drugs and die when he's 42. Elvis. Such a shame. And that is the end. So that was our movie for today. And it was really good. I don't know that I'd ever add it to my collection, but I did find this on the Internet Archive, and I highly recommend it. It's quite enjoyable, and if you watch it, most of Elvis's movies have something going for him aside from the music. But this one was quite good. Tomorrow we are watching Holy Flame of the Martial World, so I can get the review done for Brett, and I will create a montage of kung fu fights at some point. But you're just going to see the trailer for the 5 Deadly Venoms. So, my fellow agents, until our next assignment, this is X7 signing off and phasing out. And remember, Elvis is everywhere, man.